would be the premise that we're going to take things as they stand. We're going to start with, so we could either make piles. If you put a board under it, then you could end up moving this whole thing to a different location. So we start with a board, a blotter. You'll see a pattern forming here, right? And a Hollytext, because with photographs we don't want to screw around and think about it. It's just too complicated. The blotter's a little short. We're going to want to take images out of this stuff. Now realize this may occur in a bunch of boxes, so you're going through and pulling out manuscript stuff, then there's a photograph. The manuscript stuff isn't going to stick together, but this stuff might. So what we're going to do is not mess around with, is it coated on the front and back? In this case it's slick on the back, but I can actually feel the coating. If you do this and it sticks to your finger, but when it's soft it will also leave a thumbprint. Okay, so we want to think about, are we marring the image? Okay, so we want to create stacks, and so I'm hoping you'll create several piles, and you'll do this in several small groups. For the sake of this, so let's start with this, and then we're going to pin some up on the clothesline we got in the back. All right? So we're not going to pin up, we might pin up microfilm, that's fine. So, there we go. Yeah, distribute the material, like little stacks. Here's a little stack of this. Here's a little stack of this, right? Yeah, and you could have people that pass media to you, and you could have people that are stackers, so we kind of create jobs.
So do we just, with everything, do we do this, or
I would.
Live?
If it's going to hang off the end, don't do it because it won't dry properly. So what do we do when we got a full complement here? We're going to put what? Hollytext first. This one, right. Hollytext, then blotter.
When there's paper, you keep that in the...
Okay, yeah, so we don't always treat them as they lie. In the case of things that are in sleeves, we want to remove it from the sleeve, all right? So here's the question, right? If you've got information on this thing, how do you know at the end of the game that the information is not lost? So what you want to do is actually remove it. If you want to, yeah, we could just open it up. In this case, it's a paper jacket. If you were to take it off like this, you can keep the jacket with the film because sequentially, if I was worried about this getting back to that, right, I'm going to want to connect it. I want to create, and you might want a recorder. Somebody who says, okay, the way we did this, you may not remember, was we put the jacket first, and then we put the fiche next to that, and we made up a stack, right? And so in this case, maybe we could get two in here. Right? Will the fiche stick together?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
do we want to see some of this?
yeah, there should be Hollytext. Sorry, I was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's.
This is what he would float off and then go too
Yeah. So the question is a good one. The question is, so I'm going to pass it off to you guys. So I need helpers to, people that are participants to do the help interleave and stuff. The question is a really good one. Is this really realistic to do if you have a really big event, right? Come on, get real, Silverman. Are you really going to do this? The answer, okay, there's various ways of approaching this. Bottom line, photographs are going to stick together. If I had a time constraint.
Oh yeah, it's bleeding.
Well, that's probably, if I had a time constraint, if I have thousands of them, this works, by the way, okay? Right? That'll work. Just, if they're face up and you just put all the images out and you just start spreading them out, put them down the floor, okay? You could cut your time by doing that. You're going to pick up dirt off the floor, but you can do this just by putting them on a surface. It might be good to have a sheet of paper under it, but the surfaces could all fill up with photos. That may be quicker, and then in fact, once they're separated, we could come back and stack them up. That might buy you some time. If we've got thousands of them, could we freeze them?
Yeah.
It beats the heck out of them sticking together. The alternative is ugly. If you don't like what I'm offering, try the alternative. Okay? So, okay.
Slides get removed?
No. It doesn't have to. You don't have to. There's no harm done if you got Hollytext. Is there Hollytext? But what I need to have, you have to realize, we're now dealing with the slide casing. The reason not to do it, and I'm also curious about the lantern slides. I have a hunch I could simply dry this by pulling the moisture out of this thing, even if it's trapped between the glass. I want to see what happens. So I'm actually interested in not opening stuff up. Again, in the name of triage, what would be the most straightforward thing to do? The problem with the negatives is if you don't separate them, they're going to be stuck in about an hour, right? So, and you may want scissors. There's a cleaner way to do this. Could I get the woman some scissors? Poor Eileen needs some scissors. Okay, so lantern slides or three-dimensional objects. If you've got slides all together, that's a really great way to go because you've got all the same height. If you've got different heights and then you put a thing on there, you may prevent the moisture from absorbing out because the height is different, right? So go ahead and put a final slot on that and then maybe put the lantern slides on top of that. Or if you only had one more slide.
So you can have dye coming off of this, right?
Are there things underneath there? Well, or just
no. Okay, so the question is, if I've got pink stuff coming out of here, what does it mean? Am I bleeding, you know? Yeah. It's okay, if we had all the time under the sun, it's not an impossibility to take it back and run it through a clean bath. What I didn't do yet, and what we could still do before we're done, but I'm on a sort of a fast track, we brought some mud and some dirt to make mud, and we thought, well, we could make it more complicated. We would just go through a rinsing phase before we go to pressing. The problem with film, all the film is, it opens up, the gelatin's nice and soft. You got grit, it's going to stick to the face of it. Even with good washing, you don't want to go doing this. It's trouble. I thought we might do it with maps, but we'll see how we're doing on time. In this case, if we've got, when dyes are running and stuff are running, what you're really dealing with is it's all moving. I would just interleave it, I would take it out of the things and deal with it. Dry it now, we can wet it again later. Wetting could be a second step. So I would say, take this, get it on that, get it out of this. And this guy, I've never had a chance to deal with one of these. So this is a seriously degraded acetate, cellulose acetate negative, but it was seriously degraded beforehand.
Oh, okay.
I have a feeling we could actually dry this as an object. So if we had a lot of these, but let's figure this out. I was just, well, let's put Hollytext and then the image, But I'd like to just dry this alone and not put a ton of weight on it because it has a bunch of distortion.
We learned how to do that, take care of that before.
Did we?
Yeah. You just stick it in water.
It's in its,
Thanks a lot. You know what I hate is when they quote you. That's what I really hate.
Yeah, the guy's
Randy, is it in its
church history library.
Yeah.
looks like it's encapsulated.
Yeah.
What he would do is open it up and float it on water.
Let's see if we can dry it, right?
It wasn't encapsulated.
Because what we're...
No, it's just the
It wasn't.
Yeah, no, but it's got its own...
It's literally the deteriorations. It's like a 2 or a 3 level.
Right.
It's at the bubble phase.
This is what we saw
And let's-
yesterday.
But let's not put a weight on this one. Let's just put gentle weight, and let's come back and babysit it. And if I have thousands of them, I'd like to know how this one comes out.
Okay.
So, okay, so there's still some in here, right, before we get too far. And maybe with these next, let's try the clothesline. We put this up for your pleasure, for your drying pleasure. But, okay, so, somebody, where's the clothespin? Okay.
Rusting.
Yeah, just like in the dark.
Can I just ask if anybody needs to ride to the airport at 3:45?
Real.
Anybody needs a
So I
cab
would
ride?
do it with
We already said. Anybody else needs a cab ride at 3:45?
Minimizing it's up to you. You can put them at an angle, you can put them on the corners. So we're going to clothespin some up here. The idea is, okay, so what will these do? If I dry these face up, I'm going to have water spots on my photographs, right? Because it's just going to dry in place. If I stack them like this and we exchange blotters, we're going to suck the water away. It won't water spot. If I hang them, I'm going to have less likelihood of water spotting. So there's some advantage in trying to do this or that. But again, so your question was, where do I draw the line? I still feel, especially when you're dealing with home floods and stuff, just separating them is a win. Because we're losing them now, right? We're throwing them away by the box full. So I'd like to see people start to say, it's so easy to save. Just separate them now. First thing to do. And then we'll deal with other washing and other processing later.
And now too with digital, I mean, you can do so much digital repair that if you just, I think if you can save the image, you can, you can then photograph it, play with it, and at least have a reproduction of it if,
Okay, but pin them up by the corner. Take them out of the plastic. Okay, so microfilm. What do we have with microfilm? We got an emulsion side, and we've got so we got an image side and we got a backing. Notice if you do this, and I pass it around for you, right? It's sticking to my thumb, right? Which means this whole roll will stick together. So with microfilm, what do we want to do? Where's Carl? What do we do with microfilm?
Oh, that's a more complicated question.
Sorry.
Let's see.
But feel how sticky it is.
Unroll it.
To make a believer out of you.
Put it in a plastic bag and send it to a vendor.
Okay, but it would have to be completely wet in the image area. Not there.
I'd unroll it.
Yeah.
And dry it.
Right. You know what we could do with this sucker? We can dry it. I want people to feel it though. Who didn't get to feel the wet microfilm? Come feel it. And then who's going to be in charge of the unrolling? And where's the box? I'll put you in charge of unrolling.
That didn't have a box. I brought it.
Okay.
Mine has a box.
Someone unroll, and someone take pin it in to one end of this line, and let's see if you were to drape it, take the top line, and maybe you'd have to make 2 runs. The problem with microfilm is it's really long. Could I take the microfilm, and roll it down this walking area, as long as the microfilm, the sticky side is up, just roll it out here and let it dry?
Sure.
Absolutely. I was thinking actually pinning it this way. Pinning it.
Yeah, across.
Because in fact you're going to have a mile of film. Now you could do it this way, back and forth, and just drape it over the top of the line. That would work. That'll work. Go with that.
What about using...
And you don't even need paperboard. You can just put a clip right on it. That's a leader, which isn't going to show anything anyway.
Like on negatives, would you want to use photo flow or something first? Like kind of clean them off and then...
So the question on the table is, could we use photo flow to clean them? Yeah, the answer is yeah, and the reprocessing of microfilm could be done by a commercial vendor. So that was Carl's suggestion. We can take it, if we keep it wet, put it in a bucket of water. They suggest putting in a percentage of formalin, but it's my suggestion that even just water. The question, who knows where you get microfilm processed in your area? Notice the hands go up. Right. You might find that your state archives is producing microfilm still. You might find that there's actually a vendor. But in Hawaii, what do we have as a choice?
A vendor.
One vendor. But if you should know that you could use a vendor, so that should be in your disaster plan for this very reason, that it's going to be a little bit awkward, right? Right?
Dry too.
You could also, what was the second thing I want to tell you?
Buy into the copy?
Yeah, possibly. If it's not an original, there's that piece. I don't know. Brain cramp, forget it. Okay. Do we have but we need the whole film. If there's any left.
Even if it's dry?
It's dry.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't leave it in there. Here, go ahead and...
Okay.
Okay, we get...
Do you? Okay, fine.
No, we don't have to roll.
Okay, where's the other roll, though? The other thing we could do, I mean, I want... Now, if we've got information on the microfilm box, is that critical?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to pin the box up with it or put it next to it on the floor. So why don't somebody try the thing on the floor, all right? Figure out which is the sticky side. Let's just go for pragmatic. What if you actually had to do this, right? And you don't have miles of clothesline. And your microfilm sticky side should be on the inside as a pattern, but figure it out.
Sometimes they're rolled backwards.
They could be rolled backwards. Stick the microfilm with the sticky side.
Sticking on both sides. They're unclear.
Unclear. If you're unclear, you're going to have to deal with Polytex the whole floor. Or probably a plastic surface that wouldn't stick anyway.
That's actually not photo.
What it is.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm having a brain fart. But no, it's a type of copying that is not actually photo.
Is it sticky though? Will it dry? It's got an adhesive, huh?
I mean...
Is it gelatin?
It's chemical gelatin. There's gelatin.
It's gelatin.
But it's not silver. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's not silver.
I think it feels sticky to me.
Well, and I'll tell you what, to err is human, you know?
Yeah.
So I want an unroller and I want will this dry? We'll come back and check. Keep it out of the direct traffic pattern just so people don't walk on it. And let's go back and deal with maps.
If you had, like, valuable...
Whoa! Well, you need somebody on each end. Watch it. An unroller and an anchor. gave it to me, so I give it